Welcome back to Courtroom Conversations
Yes.
on the Classic Courtroom YouTube channel. And if you're enjoying these deep dives into fascinating legal cases,
Yeah.
be sure to hit that like button
Oh, yeah.
and subscribe so you don't miss a single one. I'm Dylan Brooks Hamilton.
And I'm Susan Kelly Ashford.
Today we're stepping into a world where grace and gravity collide. The world of ballet and the weight of the courtroom.
Yeah.
We're talking about Ashley Benefield, a former ballerina
Oh, yeah.
who was sentenced to 20 years for the death of her estranged husband, Doug Benefield.
Right.
This case brings up a lot of questions about self-defense
Yeah.
and the complexities of relationships when they take a very tragic turn. So set the stage for us. Who were Ashley and Doug, and what led to this incident in Bradenton, Florida?
Well, Ashley and Doug met through their shared passion for ballet. They were both accomplished dancers who eventually transitioned into, I guess, leadership roles in the dance world. But somewhere along the way, their partnership fractured. And by the time of the shooting, they were estranged, living separate lives. And the exact circumstances surrounding the shooting are complex and were heavily debated in the courtroom. But the tragic outcome was Doug Benefield's death.
Now, you mentioned this case has sparked debate, especially around the idea of self-defense. What were the charges against Ashley, and how did those legal proceedings unfold?
So initially, Ashley was charged with second-degree murder.
Okay.
And for our listeners who maybe aren't familiar with the legal terms, second-degree murder typically implies an intentional killing, but without premeditation.
Okay.
So it's serious, but it could carry a life sentence. However, after a lengthy trial and nearly 7 hours of deliberation, the jury ultimately convicted her of a lesser charge, manslaughter.
7 hours is a very long time for a jury to deliberate.
Yeah.
What were some of the key sticking points for them?
Well, jury deliberations can be intense.
Yeah.
And I think in this case, they must have really grappled with Ashley's self-defense claim. And in a self-defense case, you know, the burden is on the defendant to prove that they reasonably believed they were in imminent danger of death or great bodily harm. And that the force they used was necessary to protect themselves.
Okay.
And so it seems like maybe the jury found some aspects of her claim credible, but perhaps not enough to completely exonerate her based on self-defense.
And it's a high bar to clear, legally speaking.
Yes.
This wasn't the end of the legal battle, though.
Yes.
Her team sought a new trial.
Right.
Based on allegations of juror misconduct. So what can you tell us about that?
Well, after the verdict, Ashley's attorneys filed a motion for a new trial, alleging that the jury's decision may have been tainted by misconduct. And there were two main allegations. First, they argued that one of the jurors may have had a personal history with domestic violence. That wasn't disclosed during jury selection. And that's crucial because undisclosed biases can really impact a juror's impartiality. The second allegation involved a juror allegedly bringing a cell phone into the deliberation room, which raises concerns about outside influence or access to information that wasn't presented during the trial.
Those are some serious claims, but I think the judge ultimately dismissed them.
The judge did not find sufficient grounds to grant a new trial.
So where does that leave Ashley's appeal?
Well, this doesn't mean the legal battle is over. Ashley's team is appealing the verdict, and these allegations of juror misconduct will likely be central to their arguments. And the appeals court will review the judge's decision and determine if there were any legal errors or if these allegations warrant further investigation.
Now, for our listener who maybe isn't super familiar with the appeals process, what does that involve? What are the key differences between an appeal and the original trial?
Well, an appeal isn't a retrial. It doesn't involve presenting new evidence or rehashing all the testimony. The appeals court focuses on the legal decisions that were made by the lower court. So in this case, the judge's rulings. During the trial, and they're looking for errors that may have prejudiced the outcome. So for Ashley's appeal, they'll be scrutinizing the judge's decision to dismiss the juror misconduct claims and see if it was legally sound.
So to put this into perspective, what is the difference in potential sentencing between the manslaughter conviction and that original charge of second-degree murder?
Well, the difference is significant. With the manslaughter conviction, Ashley faces a maximum sentence of 30 years. And remember, a firearm was involved. If she had been convicted of second-degree murder, she could have been facing a life sentence.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a huge difference.
Yeah, it is.
This is just such a powerful example of how complex these legal situations can be, especially when it involves self-defense, and the very difficult task of weighing conflicting evidence. It'll be really interesting to see how this appeal unfolds.
Yeah, it will.
You know what really strikes me about this case is the question it raises about juror bias.
Right.
We all have our own experiences. Sometimes those experiences might unintentionally color our judgment.
Yeah.
So for our listeners, I'll ask this. How much weight should those personal experiences or potential biases hold?
Right.
Where do we draw the line between recognizing those very human elements and ensuring a fair and impartial trial? It's definitely something to think about as we continue to follow Ashley Benefield's journey.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into a truly compelling case here on Courtroom Conversations.
Yes, thank you.
And don't forget to like this video.
Please do.
And subscribe to Classic Courtroom for more in-depth discussions on legal cases. We'll see you next time.
See you then.